Well, greetings everyone. It's Cat Sticker, the teenage, and I am coming to you today a little bit late. I was aiming for noon as usual, but right before noon, what happened was the power. I was about to go live, and the power just went out, and it appears that it was out throughout the neighborhood, not just this house. But then it came back on in a few minutes, so everything's good now. And I was able to make it on. And I'm glad because this is our last week. We have made it through 6 weeks of this reset, and this is the seventh week. Welcome to Minimize to Maximize 7 week reset, where we're taking this is a series of challenges. If you're new to this program, it's a series of challenges based on a couple of books. One is this book, Seven, An Experimental Mutiny Against Excess by Jen Hatmaker, and the other one is Declutter Your Mind, How to Stop Worrying, Relieve Anxiety, and Eliminate Negative Thinking by S.J. Scott and Barry Davenport. So that's what this challenge is based on, two books, a little bit from each. And what we're doing is just taking 7 weeks to simplify one area of our life at a time, just to get practice on how to do that. And the reason that we're doing it is just to make room for other things in our life, to be able to maximize our effectiveness, raise awareness, internal awareness about these different aspects of your life, examine your values, and just be able to reprioritize things. So week 1 was food. Week 2 was clothing, 7 clothing items to wear for 7 days. Week 3 was possessions. Week 4 was media. Week 5 was conservation. Week 6 was spending. And now we're to week 7, and that's stress. Now, if you thought the challenge was stressful, just look at your whole life. Life is just about stress. And there's good stress and there's bad stress. And of course, this is focused on, trying to reduce any kind of negative stress. Any stress that's affecting your performance in life, your happiness. And before we get to that, though, I just want to know, how did you do last week on the reducing the number of vendors? So last week we did 7 vendors for 7 days. How did that work out for you? Let us know in the comments. I felt like I did pretty good with this one compared to some of the other ones. This whole reset hasn't been as easy as I thought it would be for myself. And I hope that you got something out of it and were able to do the values exercise last week. So this week we're on month 7 in the 7 book, and we're in part 1 of Declutter Your Mind, because I was skipping around in this book to try to match up the topic with what we have in the 7 book. And so in this one, chapter 1 is about decluttering your thoughts. And it does go right along with the stress. So we're going to talk a little bit about that after we talk about the Jen Hatmaker book. Excuse me. So what is the challenge this week? So for stress, it's not to be more stressed, it's to be less stressed. And so Jen had an idea that if we take pauses throughout the day, that we can maybe do a little bit of a reset and help to reduce our stress. And so let me just, from her book, read a little excerpt, because Jen's a busy woman, as I'm sure we all are busy. So just on the front page of the stress chapter: conferences and retreats, airports, conference calls, radio interviews, meet the teacher, Jersey boys, coffees, lunch dates, brunches, 5th grade parent meeting, KP garden maintenance, restore group Tuesday, meals delivered to sick baby, new baby, grieving friends, paint the Hayes County Food Bank, Garlic Greek game night, middle school, wildlife meetings, Pee Wee football practice, 7th grade flag football league. That's just like us. And then that's just one half of this list. So, she's real busy. I'm real busy. I'm sure you're real busy too. And all of that go, go, go all the time. That's part of our, just the lifestyle of our society is, can be overload for us. We don't get a break to just stop and smell the roses. And even when we're not doing something, when we're on the way to doing something, we're listening to the radio or making lists in our head of things to do. So, Jen's idea is to take 7 pauses for 7 minutes each day. And you really need to schedule those out or you'll forget to do it. So you can just set an alarm on your phone, for instance. You can set 7 alarms and turn them on for different times of day. And you could change up the times, each day depending on where you are, because you're not going to stop and meditate in the middle of a PTA meeting or something, right? Or so, try to find those times that would be most convenient for you to take a 7-minute break. Maybe you'd have to go in the bathroom and shut the door so nobody bothers you in there. But what can you do during those 7 minutes? You could just sit silently and just breathe. I suggest deep breathing would be a good activity. And when we get into the declutter your mind chapter, that one has deep breathing as an exercise to do to relieve stress. So once you combine these 2 books and do some of these techniques during the 7 minutes of pause, for instance, meditation is one of the techniques that we're going to cover in here. So meditation, just going outside and connecting with nature, doing this deep breathing. You can pray. Just something that helps you to relax and to stop thinking about the next few things you have to be doing or where you've failed to do something correctly. All right. Because stress from our schedule, it's unbelievable. Jen says, we are short fused, stressed out, overextended, and unrested. This pace is not sustainable. I don't want it to be. This season of life is passing me by, accelerated by a lack of boundaries. Most days, I just try to keep the wheels on, not living in the moment at all. And I'm just getting it done while thinking about what's left. So, how many people does that describe who have one activity after another? I know I felt like that before, and it does burn you out after a little while of doing that, especially certain types of personalities like introverts. It's really hard to keep showing up constantly, not giving any time to decompress, right? So this is a little bit about decompression, but it's not necessarily just vegging out. It's more about doing that little reset inside yourself. All right. So how Jen decided to schedule it was she's doing midnight, dawn, mid-morning, noon, mid-afternoon, twilight, and night. So that's pretty evenly spread out. I'm not sure exactly why she chose those times of day. I probably wouldn't do it all at once, like 49 minutes in one sitting and say I'm done for the day. Try to spread it out, because that the whole point is to be able to set those boundaries throughout the day. Now, when we go into the Declutter Your Mind book, he covers 4 causes of mental clutter, and the first one, the main one, being daily stress. And let's see what he has to say about that on page 18. Oh, it's in the beginning of the book. So he says, an excessive amount of stress is the primary reason many people feel overwhelmed by life. Big surprise, right? Yeah. Too much stress, too many choices, too much stuff, and negativity bias are the 4 things that the author identifies as being causes of mental clutter. And I think daily stress and too many choices. Daily stress and too much stuff are self-explanatory. Because we went over when we were doing like clothing and the possessions week, we talked about too much stuff. a lot. But too many choices just means like, just say you go to the grocery store and you have all these choices, and I'm like, oh, I got to figure out, which ones are good for you, which ones are bad for you, which ones, are messing up the environment, which ones are cheaper. And I got to look at the price per ounce. And this one has price per ounce. This one has price per unit. And you have to do math. And all the choices that we have, I mean, it can be a good thing, but then it can also be a stressful thing. And then negativity bias is really our tendency to react more strongly to negative things than to positive things. It has more of an impact on our wellness. So that, and it just means that you're hardwired to overthink, to worry, and to view situations more negatively than reality, because there may be something positive happens and something negative happens, and you hone in on that negative thing, and the positive things just, and just think of it this way, like when uh, when you're cleaning up for someone to come over, maybe I'm the only one who does it. When you're cleaning up for someone to come over, and you're like, get most of the stuff like 90% clean, but you have one area that's got like dust or something that you didn't clean. And you see that, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's what they're going to focus on. They're just going to see this one dusty area and not see all the clean stuff, all the positive stuff, right, that you did. And sometimes that happens, but that also happens internally with ourselves. That's what we do to ourselves, is we focus on our shortcomings and not, that's that negativity bias for ourselves. So here's 4 habits to declutter your thoughts based on the Declutter Your Mind book. Focus, deep breathing, meditation, and then interrupt or reframe your negative thoughts. And I'll give you an example in a minute. And then teach your mind new habits. So fill that void with positive thoughts. And the void is when you interrupt your negative thoughts, you stop the negative thoughts. We got something to take its place. So fill it with a positive thought. And here's an example. This is from page 36 of the book. You say to yourself, you catch yourself saying, I'll never get all of this done. And that's my daughter right now. She's working on a science project with her friend at school. And I heard them say, oh, we're never going to get all this done. Well, change the way, like reframe the way you're saying that and say, I'm having the thought that I'll never get all this done. And then you're not saying I'll never get all this done. You're saying you're having that thought. So you're acknowledging that you're thinking that way. This is an opportunity for you to realize that that's a negative thought that you need to reframe into a positive thought. And so then think about the positives. Well, I've already achieved so much. I've already gotten this far. I'm not going to give up now. Something like that. So I can do it. Give yourself that positive affirmation to follow up and get that negative thought out of there. And that's basically what he's saying in this book. So I think that there's a challenge for this week related to this. When you're feeling worried or stressed out, immediately start that deep breathing. Start, breathing. You don't have to be excessive where you need where you're going to hyperventilate, but start a deep breathing exercise where you're mindful of your breath, and do that for at least 1 full minute. And then name your thought and reframe it and make it something positive. All right, so that's the second half of the challenge this week. Oh, and I have a comment, and it's Michael. I've always tried to set out a time once a day to chill. Lunchtime or in the middle of the day helps to get a jump start. Yeah, that's great, Michael. It is good to find a time to reset during the day. And even if you can't find the time 7 times a day, if you're starting once a day at lunch, maybe make it an extended period for that one time a day, that's better than not having any time of day, right? And a lot of people start out in the morning, and you hear about a lot of people who make a morning ritual of having some quiet time or some prayer time in the morning before they start their day to set a tone for the day. And then having that break at lunch, maybe if you just make it meal times, well, I'd be breaking all day then because I have a lot of snacks. But you find some time, maybe associated with meals or something, when you can just take a few minutes to yourself, 5, 7 minutes, whatever you can spare to do this. I think you'll find an impact to your stress level. And if you do that and notice a difference, oh, Michael says, right, you've already invested so much time and effort. Maybe just take a break. For me, it's always helped me. Yeah. Um, taking a break, just like a scheduled break. But then on that break, don't fill it with other don't just fill it with busy thoughts. Make it a time when you're actually having some mental silence, um, or connecting with nature. Go outside, take a breath of air, look at the sun. Don't look directly at the sun, but get in the sunshine, that kind of thing, and look at the trees. Find yourself a moment to just be at peace for a minute, to be in the present instead of worried about the future constantly or worried about the past. So post about your experience for the week as you go, and then I also want to hear about what you thought was the best week out of this 7 week challenge. Like which was the part of the reset that you liked the best? Was it the stress part or the de-stress part? Was it the food part? What did you like best? Let me know and why. And I send everyone much love and light, and have a wonderful week. Bye.